Welcome to the Brian Craig Show podcast. My name is Brian Craig, and this is where MAGA comes to talk. Welcome, everyone. We've got a lot to cover on the podcast. If you're new, make sure you subscribe on whatever platform you're listening on. So, President Trump had a press conference today with Zelenskyy in the cabinet room, and it was absolutely amazing. He dropped a lot of stuff, so I'm going to go through some of that. And there's a few other things, too. We're going to cover some pretty big stuff. So I'm going to also get a little bit more into Zohan Mamdani from the debate in New York City with Governor Cuomo. I covered that this morning, but I didn't get to all of it. And it's some very important stuff. And your calls, if you're watching live on YouTube, the number's pinned in the live chat. So let's first get to, this was really amazing. You know, the war on drugs has been just basically a vacuous slogan. There's been no war on drugs. They called it that. I mean, it started during the Reagan administration, and there really hasn't been much action to rid American streets of drugs. And lately, President Trump has been doing a lot. I read this morning, this was amazing. This just blew my mind. 10% of U.S. naval power is in the Caribbean, near and around Venezuela. The United States Navy, not the Coast Guard, the 10% of the United States the United States Navy's firepower. So these aren't like freighters and cargo ships and tugboats from the Navy. These are warships. 10% of America's naval warships are in the Caribbean right now, in and around Venezuela, all about stopping the drug traffickers. President Trump literally shut down the border. It's very difficult. I'm sure they still can get some drugs through here and there, but not like they could a year ago. So they're trying to bring them here by sea because we've got, all this coastline, and the Navy is there taking out boats, the drug boats. And it's about time. I wonder, the Navy is defending the United States right now, right? From the drug cartels. That is a national security issue. They're defending us. Is this the first time, if you have another example, let me know. When is the last time the United States naval warships were sent out to actually protect the United States and its citizens? I don't know if this has happened since the Second World War. I know the Navy's been involved in combat, Persian Gulf, Vietnam, off Korea. I understand that. But those are other countries. When is the last time prior to this moment where the United States Navy had combat vessels, had warships actually involved in action defending the United States? I can't think of any offhand. Now, maybe there's a lot of things have happened over the years. Maybe there's something I've forgotten about. But this is I think the first time since the Second World War. It's pretty amazing. And that's what the Navy's for. It's not for protecting everybody else. It's for protecting us. And President Trump is the first president to take the war on drugs literally, as opposed to just some slogan that they used to run on public service announcements on Saturday morning television for kids in the 80s. And it's about time. They've blown up these fishing boats that are really drug boats. They've blown up a speedboat or two that's really a drug boat. Yeah, they look like speedboats. They look like fishing boats, but they're drug boats. And they're blowing them up. And I imagine they're having a very difficult time finding guys to go out on these boats right now. Wouldn't you think? I wouldn't be surprised if they're forcing them to do it literally at gunpoint. I would not be surprised. Would you? So the drug cartels, they think they're cute. They think they're clever. They pulled something. And then President Trump dropped something. This clip I'm going to play for you, President Trump is sitting next to Marco Rubio. This was during the meeting today with Zelenskyy. Zelenskyy sitting across from the president, and he dropped something pretty big.
That was in a submarine, right? We attacked a submarine, and that was a drug-carrying submarine built specifically for the transportation of massive amounts of drugs, just so you understand. This was not an innocent group of people. I don't know too many people that have submarines. And that was an attack on a drug-carrying, loaded-up submarine.
I mean, that's amazing. So he took out a drug cartel submarine. They thought they were going to get something. They think they would get a submarine by the United States Navy. This is really an amazing thing. And, you know, for many, many years, the United States kept foreign influence out of Latin America. You know, the drug trade is not just the Latin American drug cartels. China is making the fentanyl. They ship it to Latin American ports from Mexico on south, give it to the cartels, and then they've been transporting it here. The drug cartels are allied with an enemy nation, China. And the United States has an official policy, the Monroe Doctrines from President Monroe, the Monroe Doctrine, that prevents any foreign influence in the entire Western Hemisphere. And South America is part of the Western Hemisphere with North America. So this is that's why President Kennedy was able to do what it is he did during the Cuban Missile Crisis. Because a European power, the Soviet Union, was in our hemisphere, a violation of the Monroe Doctrine. That's what gave him the legal right to send the Navy after those Russian ships then. And that's why President Trump has the legal right here. I haven't heard anybody mention the Monroe Doctrine. They used to teach us a lot about that in school when I was growing up. I haven't heard anybody mention it with this, but this is what's going on here. So President Trump is well within his rights. And blowing up this submarine, this is amazing. It's absolutely amazing. You know, we haven't had a president in any of our lifetimes that did this much for the American people. I know people say, well, Reagan was a very good president, but primarily what he was doing was helping the people of Eastern Europe and the Soviet Union be free of communism. And that wasn't for us. In fact, we're suffering from that right now because this war in Ukraine is the aftermath of the fall of the Soviet Union that we're still dealing with. So really, you know, this mess with Russia and Ukraine, Biden is directly responsible for the things he said and did, no doubt about it. But Ronald Reagan also was responsible for this war, which is basically a civil war. He did great things, but they weren't for us. They were for people in other countries on other continents. We've never had a president of the United States in my lifetime do so much for the American people directly. It's absolutely amazing, and he most definitely deserves thanks and gratitude for this all of the time. And, you know, taking down these drug cartel boats, shutting down the drug trafficking at the border. I know I don't do any illegal drugs, okay? In fact, I don't even have any prescription drugs that are legal from a doctor. I'm not on any medication. Except an allergy medication, which is an over-the-counter medication. But illegal drug prices have had to go through the roof. When they can't bring them in the country en masse, they have to be getting in shorter supply, especially the fentanyl. Marijuana is not such a thing anymore because it's legal in so many places, or, you know, you could get CBD gummies or something like that. But the fentanyl and the hardcore illegal drugs are almost impossible to get into the country. And now we got the Navy on it. So there was an admiral. This guy's a real beaut. This is in the Gateway Pundit. Top U.S. commander for Latin America and reported critic of the strikes against Venezuelan drug boats abruptly announces his resignation. He's an admiral, African-American guy. Secretary of War, this is in the Gateway Pundit. And by the way, all these stories that I talk about are on my X, Brian Craig Show on X. If you're on hold, stand by. If you'd like to call in and you're watching live on YouTube, the number's pinned in the live chat, 888-465-2631. President Trump is going to have a press conference sometime today with Zelenskyy, a second press conference. If that happens while I'm on the air, I will cut to it. I am monitoring the White House, so if that press conference happens during the show, I will immediately go to it, all right? This is also reported in the Daily Mail. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth has lost a team member who was playing a critical role in combating the narco-terrorists in the Caribbean following a stunning resignation. The Daily Mail reported that Admiral Alvin Halsey, the head of U.S. Command in Central America, announced on Thursday he would leave his post in December, 2 years before his 3-year contract expires. And he's the commander of all these naval forces in the Caribbean, and he's been opposed to going after these narco-terrorists. Well, good, get out. Who cares? Leave. Right? If he's not, remember what Pete Hegseth said when he talked to all the generals and the admirals a couple weeks ago. If you don't like the new rules, retire. Do the right thing. Retire. Retire. Get out. That's right. I mean, what's the matter with this guy? This is the first time. This guy, I don't know how long he's been in the Navy, a long time. He's an admiral, senior admiral. This is probably the first time, well, I know it's the first time that he's been involved in a naval action to protect the United States of America and the American citizens, and he's pissed off about it? What is that about? What is wrong with this guy? Maybe he should be investigated to find out why he has such sympathies for drug cartel people. I'm curious about that. I don't know. It seems odd to me. Why would you be opposed to that? Makes no sense to me at all. But get out. We don't need you. But so, and they're trying to make a big deal about this in the news. Oh, wow, the admiral. Who cares what an admiral thinks? In the Korean War, President Truman fired General MacArthur. Fired him from the entire 4-star general. Fired him. 5-star general. A 5-star general. He fired him, threw him out of the army because he wasn't with the mission. And what had happened with General MacArthur is during the Korean War, China was helping North Korea in a big way, and they had fighter jets. They had Russian Soviet MiGs, the Chinese. And Chinese fighter pilots were flying into Korea and attacking U.S. and our allied UN forces, and then they would hightail it back to China and to safety at an air base in there. And MacArthur wanted to bomb the Chinese MiG Air Force bases in China. Truman said, no, do not enter China. MacArthur, who thought he was a big shot with his 5 stars, because he was very famous, I shall return, all that, World War II, he ordered the American fighters to enter Chinese airspace. Truman fired him as soon as he heard about it, fired him. In fact, if I remember correctly, he met with him in person to fire him. I could be wrong about that. I know he met with him in person, but he fired him. And he was big and famous, and everybody knew, and he was a household name. Right? This guy, I read the article, and I can't remember his name. He's a nobody. So who cares if someone from the military says they don't want to follow orders? Who cares? Get out. He's not the admiral's not in charge of the Navy. The President of the United States is, and the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth. So this is great. I mean, who would be against this? Anyone who's against some of these actions, you got to be suspect of. It's like the governor of Illinois, Pritzker. He's talking. I'm going to play a clip a little later. He's talking about arresting ICE agents. Who does he think he is? Why would Pritzker go out on such a crazy limb like that and suggest that he is going to arrest ICE agents? That something's off with that guy. So let me pull this up. So then, let me pull it. Where is this? Hold on. Let me pull this clip up. Then the president is talking about. Do I have the clip? Yeah, Maduro in Venezuela. All right, and this was unbelievable. This is the press briefing in the cabinet room today. Listen.
Maduro offered everything in his country, all the natural resources. He even recorded a message to you in English recently, offering mediation. What should we do in order to stop that?
He has offered everything. He's offered everything. You're right. You know why? Because he doesn't want to fuck around with the United States. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
That was amazing. And did you know President Trump? He knows about timing, right? He said he doesn't want to F around with the United States. He said the word, and I saw a different camera angle than the one I'm showing now on YouTube when I was watching this live. I was watching it on television, and J.D. Vance is cracking up. I thought J.D. was going to fall out of his chair. He was cracking up at that so loud. I mean, it was hilarious. Did you guys see it? I watched it live. I was like, what? In fact, I watched it live, and I said, what? And I rewound it and watched it again. I couldn't believe that it happened. It was pretty amazing. And, this is what you got to understand. Okay, South America is in the same hemisphere as we are, and look at how much damage this country has suffered because Venezuela is not just Venezuela, but South America, Latin America, all of Latin America from Mexico on down, is a third world pit of anarchy, chaos, and crime. How many Americans are dead because of the chaos in South America? This is why President Trump gave money to Argentina. We want to stabilize Argentina. We want South America, we want Latin America to be prosperous and stable, right? Because that's good for us. We're in the same neighborhood. We're in the same hemisphere. So stable, it's about time. This is our own backyard. We got to take care of this as opposed to worrying about NATO, right? Or Taiwan, right? Or these other countries. I'm sorry to tell you. And this is why he picked Marco Rubio to be Secretary of State, because Marco Rubio is a Cuban American. He speaks the language and he knows these people because he's been a senator from Florida for so long. He knows the people of South America. He knows these leaders. He can speak to them in their own language fluently as really kind of like a native in a way, because his parents are from Cuba and he speaks fluent Spanish. It's a whole nother thing. That's why he picked him, because President Trump knew that that South America has to be corrected, and he's doing the right thing. I've never heard a president talk. This was beautiful. And it's not only that he says drops the F-bomb, is that he immediately ended the whole press event, because he's like, drop the mic. He's like, what else is going to happen after this? He wanted this to be the highlight.
Maduro offered everything in his country, all the natural resources. He even recorded a message to you in English recently, offering mediation. What should we do in order to stop that?
He has offered everything. He's offered everything. You're right. You know why? Because he doesn't want to fuck around with the United States. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Isn't that the best? I love the timing. Thank you. That's it. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air.
This is Jeffrey. I'm from Washington, D.C.
Hey, Jeffrey. What's up?
The war on drugs actually began under President Nixon in 1971.
Yeah, well.
I believe.
Okay. He did a great
job.
job.
CIA bringing in the cocaine.
Yeah.
I'm going to get your butthole. It's going to be sweet.
What is wrong with you? Think about it. What is wrong with you? Did you hear what that guy just said to me? You guys want to be YouTube stars? You want to have people like that thinking about you? Oh, my goodness. That's your left, people. That's your left. If you're on hold, hang in there. We'll take our first break. You are listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast. The Brian Craig Show podcast, by the way, is available on all podcast platforms. Wherever you get your podcast, just search for The Brian Craig Show, and the program pops right up. If you want to catch the show live in the video form and call in, or be able to call in, follow me, the podcast live on YouTube at Brian Craig Show. The number to call in is 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. We'll be right back. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Brian. It's Frank from West Palm. How you doing there?
All right,
Brian,
Frank.
You were absolutely correct. LaPorta Roofing was amazingly phenomenal. They just completed my roof last week, and LaPorta Roofing was superb in all ways imaginable when installing the new roof on my residence. Tom Laporta meticulously spearheaded the entire project from inception through to the finalization of the assignment. Tom handled all the paperwork involving city permits, inspectors, and my community HOA. He was always available, ensuring me that he had my back in all phases of the project. Additionally, Tom, Scott, and Dan, and the entire crew were very well organized with the plan, consistent with all policies and procedures, and craftsmanship was exemplary in all stages of the design execution. Tom, Scott, and Dan maintained continual contact with me, the homeowner, asking if there were any questions I had or anything further I needed. Laporta Roofing is, in every respect, a stellar, 5-star, AAA, family-owned company that is a reliable, peace-of-mind roofing organization. These guys are spot on with regards to perfection, and they demand it. I remain mesmerized upon the completion of the job. My roof is a masterpiece. And one last thing before I forget, they were the least expensive quote that I received out of 4 quotes for roofing. I thank Tom Laporta Roofing for all that they do.
Wow, Frank. Well, thanks so much. Tom Laporta at Laporta Roofing. He covers both the east and west coast of Florida and everywhere in between. He works with every type of structure, residential, commercial, municipal, and he works with every type of roofing material. Also, don't forget, Tom Laporta will never sell you a roof you do not need. If you need just a simple repair, he'll do it. He can also handle the job of any size, whether it's a single-family home or an HOA with over 200 units. Give him a call. This number rings directly to Tom Laporta's cell phone, 954-604-4602. 954-604-4602. And online, laportaroofing.com. Frank, thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Brian. You have a wonderful day.
All right, we're back. I'm Brian Craig. This is the Brian Craig Show podcast. Make sure you follow and subscribe. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Oh, hello. This is Mike from Arizona.
What's up, Mike?
Hi, yeah. I just wanted to touch down on what you just mentioned about Argentina.
Yes.
So you said the plan is to help out Argentina so that we can make South America great again and make Argentina great again? Or MAGA?
Well, because you are a little shy of brain cells, you don't have the ability to think logically and see things clearly, but I'm going to explain them to you. Not so much for you, but for other people that are listening and watching that, have a brain. What President Trump is doing is a couple of things in South America. One, he's crushing the drug cartels. That's why we have 10% of the U.S. combat naval vessels in and around Venezuela doing that. That's one thing. Two, he wants to stabilize the economies in Latin America. So he's helping out Argentina, where we have an ally president. And he also wants to increase U.S. influence over Latin America so that we can get Latin America under control. And, I've been to South America. Okay, I've been to Latin America many times in my life, and they have all the resources and everything we have, yet it's all third world narco governments, and President Trump's trying to reverse that. Now, you can tell us why you think that's a bad thing, but you're out of your mind.
I don't think that's a bad thing. I just you say you've been to South America. Are these countries really fixable? Is it really feasible what you're saying? I don't think so.
Well, I'm not a bigot like you. I believe that some of the best people we've had in this country either are from or descendant of people from Latin America. Marco Rubio, his parents are from Latin America, and look at him.
These banana republics, you'd have to go in one by one, just like Trump's doing to our cities. You'd have to send in the guard or something, just like he's doing to Chicago. You'd have to send in the guard one by one.
We may end up having military bases in Argentina and places like that. Sure.
So the Mexican president told us to stay the hell out. Right?
She's not
They
the
don't want
president
our
of
military
Mexico.
there.
She's not the president of Mexico. She's a puppet of the drug cartels.
Okay, but they told us either way. They told us to stay the hell out. So
Well,
I just don't
see,
know how that's
see the way you're talking. This is why President Trump's a winner and you're a loser. You think like a loser. President Kennedy.
Oh, do I?
Oh yeah.
How do I be a winner?
Oh,
how
yeah.
do I be a winner then?
Well,
do I put a hat on like you? Do I speak like Elmer Fudd? I mean, how do I be a winner?
Yeah, you can do all. You can if you want to be a winner, you could be like me. That's one way. Sure, I'm a winner.
Yeah.
President
you
Kennedy.
Look just like Buddy Holly.
Well,
you look just like Buddy Holly.
Well, thank you. But Buddy Holly was a great singer. Yeah, thank you. That's a compliment. And he had a tragic death. But President Kennedy, when he was talking about going to the moon, and you got to have some respect for President Kennedy. He said, we go to the moon and do these other things not because they're easy, but because they're hard, right? So, yeah, stabilizing the governments of the Middle East and ridding them of the narco leaders down there from the cartels is a good thing. And you can sit around and be a loser all your life and game and play Call of Duty or whatever it is you do and sip on whatever you're drinking right now. But you think like a loser.
Yeah, well, when Trump loses the midterm elections and gets impeached, I'm going to be happy to see you wearing that MAGA hat. Can't wait.
Yeah, I've been wearing MAGA hats since they were available.
Yeah, you're a MAGA.
So
MAGA.
you can only feel good about yourself if the country's president goes through an impeachment? I mean, what kind of person are you? Why would the country going through that make you feel good? Take care. Appreciate the call. Oh boy, you're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey Brian, it's Sue from Aventura.
Hey Sue, what's up?
I'm just calling about these people who call in and they give you a hard time and they really have no idea what you're doing for the country. You're teaching people history. People, I don't understand. They call you and these soy boys. I've been working since I was 12 years old. I'm still working at 59.
Yeah.
Go to work. These men, go to work.
Yeah.
Stop playing PlayStations.
Exactly.
Get a life.
Well,
working makes you happy.
Well, you know what it is?
Have no idea that.
You know what it is with these Gen Z callers? Remember, Bobby Kennedy said yesterday, and he wasn't joking, that 65-year-old men have higher sperm counts than men in their 20s. These guys have low sperm counts. They have too many feminine hormones going on, and and Donald Trump represents a man who is manly, and that freaks them out because they have low sperm counts. I mean, this is what Bobby Kennedy was talking about yesterday.
And they're blaming it on the water, on Starbucks coffee.
Yeah, oops, sorry about that. Yeah, I don't know. It could be the Starbucks coffee.
That would be nuts.
Who knows? I mean, I drink Starbucks. I've got a high sperm count, I think. I mean, do I seem like a soy boy? I don't get the soy. I don't get the soy milk and cream in my coffee when I go to Starbucks. Maybe that's the trick. Get it black and I add half and half.
Maybe.
The big Starbucks conspiracy.
Guys, man, get some cannolis. Go to work. It makes you happy. Believe it or not, it will make you happy, and you learn a lot.
Yeah.
And it's a wonderful thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just stop being happy and don't be so stupid. You are men. Be like Brian.
Really?
Be like Jason Momoa. Be like Donald Trump.
Jason Momoa. I like
Thanks,
that.
Brian.
Thank
Love
you.
you.
Wow. She compared me to Jason Momoa. That's some compliment. Oh, my goodness. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi. I'm Hunter. I'm calling from Florida.
Yeah, where at in Florida?
Right outside of Orlando.
Where outside Orlando?
Altamont Springs.
Oh my goodness! What direction is that? Is that south or east of Orlando?
I'm honestly not sure to be.
You're not sure because you're not there. Because you're not there.
Off.
It's north of Orlando. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Mike from Louisiana.
Hey, Mike.
That guy that called just a minute ago, he's not reading the tea. He thinks the Democrats are going to win the midterms. Not going to happen. That's the thing. And look, what Trump did with that mic drop thing, that Trump is a doggone comedian. He's a showman, and he knows when to get in and get out. You know, that's what angers these people so much, is that he's a showman, and he's a showman president, but he's a working president. You know,
absolutely. Yeah, I know. He sure is. You're right about that, Mike. All right, Mike in Louisiana, take care. So let me share this with you. This is this very strange-looking guy. He's the Somalian who's running for mayor of Minneapolis. All right. And here's a TV interview of him.
Senator, you're on record saying that you would not, and correct me if I'm wrong, you would not support the Trump administration activating the National Guard in Minneapolis. If they are sent here, if there's a federal ICE raid, some other related arrests similar, and this, say, sparks protests, riots, there's looting, would you support any kind of response by Minneapolis police?
I don't believe there's any instance in which MPD should be collaborating with ICE, to answer your question. That's number one.
Whoa. So if ICE comes under attack by an illegal mob or Antifa, and they call for backup, as the mayor of Minneapolis, he's going to instruct the police chief not to give them backup? Listen, that's what he said.
Senator, you're on record saying that you would not, and correct me if I'm wrong, you would not support the Trump administration activating the National Guard in Minneapolis. If they are sent here, if there's a federal ICE raid, some other related arrests similar, and this, say, sparks protests, riots, there's looting, would you support any kind of response by Minneapolis police?
I don't believe there's any instance in which MPD should be collaborating with ICE, to answer your question. That's number one.
This is crazy. You know, to be the president, you have to be a natural-born U.S. citizen. A natural-born U.S. citizen. You can't be a naturalized citizen, like Elon Musk can't be president. Do you guys think that you should have to be a naturally born U.S. citizen to hold any federal elected office or any office? What do you think about that? Because if you look at what's going on, I never thought about this too much until like now, really today. You look at what's going on in New York City with Zohan. Look what's going on with this guy. What do you guys think about that? The number's toll-free, 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. You know, when he talks about ICE doing something like that, what he's talking about doing is that's insurrectionist talk. It's nothing short of it, quite frankly. You're listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast. This is where MAGA comes to talk. If you're new, make sure that you subscribe. You know, we've got a lot of problems going on in this country. We really do. Now, this weekend on Saturday, they're having these No King rallies. And I'm telling you guys, do not under any circumstances go to them. Do not go to any of these No Kings events, whatever you do. I went to one undercover when they did them a few months ago. I made a video, and I interviewed the people there, which you can find on X, on my X, Brian Craig Show on X. I posted the video there. If you go to my X, you can go through the media, you can find it. It was pretty brutal. Tell you the truth, it was a very, very brutal thing. Because these are very vicious, vile, and dangerous people. And we've seen nothing but them amp things up since the assassination of Charlie Kirk. You do not want to go to these No King rallies. They want you to go so they can cause a ruckus and then blame us for it, okay? And it's dangerous to go in the aftermath. I'm not going. I went last time undercover, but it's the same people at every one, and I put the video online. I'm not going back. But I want to share this with you. Look at this, Jimmy Kimmel. Jimmy Kimmel promotes left-wing anti-Trump protests. The American Revolution was a No Kings rally. Well, you know, the rising up against the king that Jimmy Kimmel's talking about here. King George was not elected. The American colonists had no vote. Remember taxation without representation? They had no vote, and they had no representation in the parliament. Now we have representation, and we have a president who less than a year ago not only won the national election, he won the popular vote, and he also won all the battleground states and flipped a whole bunch of blue counties in California and other blue states red. So we don't have a king. Kings aren't elected. You know, I'm sorry to tell you. So it's not the same thing. But what Jimmy Kimmel is doing here is so irresponsible. You know, when you're a broadcaster, you have a responsibility. I'm a responsible broadcaster. As an example, I told you not to go to the No Kings events. That's responsible. What he's doing is trying to cause problems. Listen to this. This is in Breitbart. Left-wing TV host Jimmy Kimmel promoted the leftist anti-Trump No Kings protest by bizarrely liking the demonstration to the American Revolution. There's nothing more American than a political protest. The American Revolution was a No Kings rally, Kimmel proclaimed during a monologue on his lowly rated show. He is inciting people. You know, you would think, you know, when Charlie Kirk was assassinated, that was the first major political assassination in this country. There have been some local officials that have had things, but and presidents are different. But when Charlie Kirk was assassinated, that was the first political assassination since Martin Luther King in 1968. And, you know, Bobby Kennedy Jr.'s dad was still alive then. They hadn't killed him yet. And when Martin Luther King was killed, the Black Panthers and others were ready to start a revolution and take it to the streets in a big way. And Bobby Kennedy, who was still alive, Bobby Kennedy Sr., Senator Kennedy, he came out and cooled people off. And he addressed the nation, and he said, somebody in my family was shot and killed. And he told people to cool off, calm down, and don't do all these terrible things. Because he was responsible. And what you're seeing from the left right now is the complete opposite of all of that. My name's Brian Craig. This is the Brian Craig Show podcast. We'll take a quick break and be right back. On the line, we have Bruce. Bruce is a client of Jupiter Joe Thomas. He heard me talking with Joe Thomas about annuities and what a great deal they are. And he went in with his wife, and now he's a client. Hey, Bruce, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Brian.
So tell me about your experience with Jupiter Joe Thomas.
A fine gentleman. We sat down with Joe, and we explained everything to him, and we brought all our information, and he worked everything out great.
The cool thing about annuities is your money's never at risk. You're guaranteed a revenue stream for the rest of your life, but there's a bonus, really a signing bonus, where you can make a boatload of money before you even leave Joe Thomas's office. Can you talk a little bit about that, Bruce?
Well, that's where I was surprised when we sat down. We talked about the bonuses, and to my amazement, it was 10%, and there was even another one that's bigger.
Wow, that's amazing. So you made 10% on your money before you even got back in your car.
Yeah, it was more than that, but it was great.
Listen, guys, do what Bruce did. Give Jupiter Joe Thomas a call. You can set up a free consultation either on the phone or in the office, and Joe Thomas will put together a custom proposal just for you. His number is 561-743-0999. 561-743-0999 and online at jupiterjoe.com. All right, Bruce, thanks so much.
All right, thank you, Brian.
All right, we're back. I'm Brian. You're listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast. All right, make sure you follow and subscribe on whatever platform you're on. If the president comes out for his press conference with Zelenskyy while I'm on the air, I will immediately cut to it. Look at this. This is a a news story on the gas prices. By the way, if you're watching on the live stream with the green behind me, if you go to my main stream, you can see and hear all the audio clips and videos that I share. The link is in the description of that video. Take you directly to my main live stream on YouTube. Listen to this, gas prices.
It's a gift for consumers, and the timing of it couldn't be any better. Gas prices have just hit their lowest level of 2025, and in some areas, their lowest level since the peak of the pandemic 4 years ago. As gas prices fall below $3 here in Norwood.
Yeah, $2.87, that's great.
Drivers like Raquel Jackson say it's already helping their holiday shopping.
Anything helps right now. A little bit helps. Goes a long way.
These $2.87 prices, though, look high compared to some areas, like $2.61 at this station in Bethel.
We drive around a lot, so it's nice to be able to pay less when we do fill up.
Becky Cook is also counting her savings.
You think it's going to help people for the holiday season shopping?
Yes, absolutely. I already know it's going to help us.
With Black Friday shopping just a month away, a report from the investment firm Raymond James says this should provide a boost to consumer spending. Patrick DeHaan of Gas Buddy agrees.
Gasoline price is certainly one of the key economic barometers that many Americans use. If prices are high, they feel oppressed. If they decline or if they're low, people's sentiment, how they feel about the economy drastically.
There you go. So gas prices are dropping dramatically. Things are going incredibly well and perfectly. The only people that say they're not are the never Trump or Trump haters, and nothing's ever going to make them happy. Now, there was just a bizarre thing. Hakeem Jeffries, one of the many problems that the Democrats have is Hakeem Jeffries. He's not a strong leader. He doesn't know what he's doing. Ever since President Trump put out that sombrero thing of him, he's never recovered from it. And at the slightest little criticism, he has a freak out. Caroline Leavitt, she was talking about the government shutdown on Fox. I'm going to play this, and then Hakeem Jeffries responded.
Proved that the Democrat Party's main constituency are made up of Hamas terrorists, illegal aliens, and violent criminals. That is who the Democrat Party is catering to, not the Trump administration and not the White House and not the Republican Party, who is standing up for law-abiding Americans, not just across the country, but around the world. And that.
There you go. Okay, so she's right about that. I mean, you see what they're doing. So Hakeem Jeffries responds, and when you hear this with Hakeem Jeffries, he's talking about a woman here, Caroline Leavitt. Is this how a class act senior leader in one of the major political parties has behaved in the past? Listen.
And then you got Caroline Leavitt, who's sick. She's out of control. And I'm not sure whether she's just demented, ignorant, a stone cold liar, or all of the above. But the notion that an official White House spokesperson would say that the Democratic Party consists of terrorists, violent criminals, and undocumented immigrants, this makes no sense.
Well, then you're not paying attention. In President Trump's first term, when he ordered that strike on Soleimani, the Iranian general, he didn't tell Congress, and a big deal was made. It was very unusual. Well, the reason he didn't tell Congress is because of Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar, the squad. This was talked about at the time. This isn't new. This was talked about at the time. He knew that they would tip off their friends, and General Soleimani in Iran would know that the attack was coming. And this is what I was talking about earlier. And I'm curious to know what you think about this. And you're welcome, if you're on hold, hang in there, and you're welcome to call me about this. You have to be a natural-born U.S. citizen to be president of the United States. Do you think that should be true of all elected officials? Not just federal, but local as well? Because if you look at some of the biggest problems we have, it's from foreign-born people that are over here causing problems. Big chunk of the squad, Zohan in New York. And, the problem is with them is that they may be an American citizen by law, but are they an American in their heart and in their minds? And I would say no. And it would seem to me that their main purpose here is to disrupt the United States, to try to bring us down. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, my name's Connor. I'm from St. Petersburg, Florida.
Mm.
I was just wondering if you support what Trump is doing in Venezuela with the boats right now.
Yeah, are you referring to blowing up the drug cartel boats and submarine? Absolutely, yes.
Okay, so no due process for those,
You don't,
even if they're drug trafficking.
you don't terrorists. They're terrorists. You don't arrest. You don't arrest terrorists and have criminal trials like that. You blow them up. ISIS, Al Qaeda, narco terrorists. That's how you do it.
So you could be the jury, the executioner.
No, terrorists.
Not having people
When you're at war, we're at war against these terrorists, right? So like ISIS, when we're fighting ISIS,
No, we're talking about Venezuela.
No, these
we're
are
talking about fishing boats.
These aren't fishing boats
in the Caribbean.
These aren't fishing boats. They're drug cartel boats. They may have been built for fishing, but they're being used for drug cartel transportation of illegal drugs.
Innocent, proven guilty in this case.
When it comes to terrorists, yeah, like when we're fighting Al Qaeda and ISIS, you don't arrest them and send them to court. No, you just blow them up.
Well, I agree with you there, but I'm not talking about Al Qaeda and ISIS.
Well, they're the same thing.
I'm talking of. It's not the same thing.
Sure, it's worse.
You have President Maduro warning his people that America is trying to bait his country into an attack.
We're blowing up drug cartel boats. The people on them are not innocent. They're drug traffickers. The people on the boats are drug traffickers.
That needs to be proven.
No, it doesn't. What? No, it doesn't. Based on U.S. U.S. intelligence.
Okay.
Okay,
let's move on then. What about what Trump's doing in Chicago?
What's he doing in Chicago that's bad? Deporting illegals?
Sending national or state guards from other states in when these cities aren't asking for it. He says leave it up to the states until it's an issue that he completely flips on. Like, hey,
so what? He's the president. Who cares what some mayor thinks somewhere?
So no states' rights then. You don't support those?
Well, you can have states and their governments have rights. However, when you look at Chicago, the city of Chicago in particular, is not a functioning government. It is borderline an anarchy. The government is not in control, and maybe a lot of their officials are on the take for these cartels.
Biggest market in the country.
So what?
Biggest market in the country.
That just means how many people are there. That means how many people are there. So what? It's not a functioning government.
So you get to pick and choose when GDP and output matters.
I don't understand what that has to do with deporting illegals.
It's a very functioning government.
No, it's not.
The mayor.
It's not. It's filled with it's a city in rebellion. It's a city in rebellion that is in league with the narco terrorists. You know, Trinidad de Agua and MS-13 are foreign terrorist organizations, and they're running the city.
They're running Chicago?
Yes.
No, it's not Trinidad de Agua. It's corruption in like the American political system with healthcare and Democrats and Republicans. But it's not Trinidad de Agua.
Yes.
Any affiliation
Sure it
with the
is.
Chicago government.
Sure it is.
How? In what way?
Because it is a city that is overrun with illegals, and there's a lot of criminal organized crime there by those terrorist gangs, MS-13 and Trinidad. You know this. Come on, you're not stupid. Just because you live in St. Petersburg.
I've lived in Chicago for 5 years.
Yeah, well, you don't live there now. Why don't you go back?
It's the worst time you could possibly be in Chicago right
Why?
now. People in Chicago, I talk to them. I'm not sure if you talk to them. They hate it. The military is there. You think that's a good reminder for Americans?
Sure.
To have military on the corner of your block?
Yeah, sure, that'd be great. If I lived in a crime-infested neighborhood, if my city was overrun with foreign terrorist gangs, I'd be very happy that the National Guard were there to protect me.
It's downtown Chicago where the richest people live.
Awesome.
They're grabbing people, Uber Eats drivers, people downtown.
They're not grabbing people, they are arresting and deporting illegals.
They're pulling out parents, dropping their kids off at elementary school.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's right. So what?
Okay.
They're illegal. They're criminals.
Green card
You
holders.
are
They're
aware.
green card holders.
No,
They're
they're not.
pulling
They're
them out
not
of
arresting
court
and
hearings.
deporting green card holders. You're just making things up now.
Yes, they are.
They
Yes,
would
they
not.
are.
They are not deporting green card holders unless their green cards have expired, and they're here past their deadline.
That's a lie.
Let me ask you: do you really believe this? Or are you just making crap up and just lonely and want to talk to somebody? Because everything you said is totally insanely stupid and wrong.
Bro, I've seen videos of you. You just like dismiss people. Oh my gosh.
And well, thank you for watching my videos. I appreciate that. Well, I'm not dismissing you. I'm not dismissing you. You're dismissing yourself. You're saying stupid things that make no sense.
I think I'm with most Americans that are saying.
No, President Trump a year ago won the popular vote. Okay? America's with him. You're in a cult. Never Trumpers are a cult.
What do you think is going to happen in the midterms? I'm not.
Well, right now we're CNN is reporting that the Democrats only have about a 20% chance of retaking the Congress. That means the Republicans have an 80% chance of maintaining and even expanding our majority.
You're probably excited about that. That's great.
Well, yeah, hell yeah. Let me ask you this. Yeah. I've answered your questions. As opposed to this liberal utopia run by Democrats in Chicago, why are you in the most MAGA state in the union, Florida? If you're so anti-MAGA and love the way of life in Chicago, why are you in Florida, the MAGA Mecca?
Because I love America.
No. Both are in Florida. Why are you in Florida? Why do you live in Florida and not the liberal utopia of Chicago? Why'd you leave Chicago?
Because I love America. I was looking for a new place to live, and I left.
Well, why would you leave this perfect Democrat-run place that you're telling me about of Chicago, and come to the place where MAGA rules, Florida, my state?
First thing, let me say, I don't think it's some utopia or what you're describing it as to be. I enjoyed my time there, and I am loving my time here in Florida. It's a beautiful state.
Well, Florida, but you know what? Florida's a beautiful state because we don't put up with that shit they put up with in Chicago. You pull that crap here, you're gone. You're out.
Most people I meet here are actually from the Midwest, like a lot of Ohio.
Yeah, I'm from Ohio originally. I'm from Columbus, Ohio. It's my hometown. Came to Florida when I was young. Sure, it's a great place. Florida's the best state. But Florida is the most MAGA Republican state in America. The president lives in Florida, and you're telling us how great it is in Chicago. I don't understand why you would want to live in a state that's run by MAGA with the way you think of it. Run by MAGA and is majority MAGA.
I never said Chicago is great. I said I had a great time there. We could talk about Chicago politics.
I'm not interested I'm not interested in that. But what you're saying doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Why I'm an American. I chose to live in another state. I don't get why there's any hostility about it. It's a great beach town.
You hate MAGA. You like Democrats a lot. You live in the. Hey, listen, I appreciate the call. Take care. Oh my goodness. Sometimes I listen to what's in this country. And I start to question the moon landing. How did we send Americans to the moon and return them safely to the Earth again when this is our population? You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian. It's Job for 9 out of California.
Hey, what's up?
I don't understand that last caller. I mean,
well, it's what Bobby Kennedy said. He's another low sperm count boy. The low sperm count boys. That's what they are.
Well, if he likes Chicago so much, then he should go back.
Exactly.
I mean, because I don't understand it. And of course, all of these cities who are labeled as being sanctuary cities, of course, they're getting kickbacks.
Of course.
My state of California is completely corrupt, and they're corrupt from top to bottom. As of right now, we have the FBI. They just announced that they made a huge, gigantic investigation, and they're going after 2 individuals who were stealing money or embezzling money from a homeless fund. I mean, it is going to get crazy. And yes, they are corrupted because one hand washes the other. Where do you think these people ended up housed? In New York City.
Exactly.
You know, that huge, gigantic hotel?
Yeah.
They were paying millions of dollars to that hotel place that had just gotten renovated.
Exactly.
For these people to stay in. Where do you think that money comes
I mean,
from?
you know,
It's not
this
going to
last
the citizens.
the low sperm count boy that I was just talking to, okay, and you know, he actually believes that crap, that ICE is picking up legal green card holders and pulling them out of their Uber cars and deporting them without due process. I mean, what?
The due process began when they ended up coming across and they ended up getting their name. They're already in the process.
Correct.
Okay? He can miss me with all that. If a law enforcement officer ends up asking you for identification, that you are involved in the process. Now,
Yes.
wherever the process ends up taking you, then that's the process. I mean, how is it that, I mean, there are people within this country
What
that
did,
have been
what
given due
process? You know what I want? What process did Lincoln Riley get? Exactly.
You want to know something? I think all of the parents that have ended up having their children taken out of this world, from this planet, they should be suing every single person that was involved in letting those animals back out on the street.
Absolutely.
They should be sued into oblivion.
Yep.
Because honestly, that is the only way that these people end up really making any kind of change.
Mhm.
But in regards to this and to this guy, until you actually work in an industry where you see these individuals that have literally lost their willingness to live because it's associated with drugs, you will never, ever get it. As far as I'm concerned, he can blow every single boat out of the water.
It's
send
beautiful.
submarines,
Exactly.
like, because it's an act of war on
Exactly.
our citizens.
Exactly.
How many
And
people have
let me
died?
tell you something. If they were just blowing up fishing boats, you know, believe me, it would be all over the news. It'd be all over the news, you know.
Funny how the leader is all of a sudden trying to make amends by coming to Trump and saying, you know, this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
When, like, a couple of weeks ago, you ended up seeing all these overweight, like, geriatric people being trained for a militia, which was a complete and utter joke.
Yeah.
I am totally behind him doing this. I can't wait. I am behind.
You know what the
him
latest
getting people out
stunt
of the
is? I'll
country.
tell you what the latest stunt these lefties are doing. This fake story about these college Republicans that are texting each other, these racist texts. I'm calling total BS on that. Like that fake Indian with the high school kids a few years ago. No way. There's something stinks about that story. You know, everything about the left is deception, lies.
It's it's complete deception, but you know, people better get, like, especially, I mean, the left specifically, they better get used to it, because if the Supreme Court does what they should do, the Democratic Party is gone. So you guys are going to have to live with being prosperous. If you want to go ahead and give your money away to all of these charities because you feel so sorry for this, that, and the other, then either go to those countries and do some missionary work, or give your income to them, because we're going to end up being a prosperous nation, whether you like it or not.
Yes.
So either get on the train or get the hell out of the way, because you're going to get run over.
What? Yeah,
Love you, Brian.
absolutely. Thank you for your call. I want to talk about Dr. Philip Appleton and his laser wave pain treatment. You know, I've been telling you guys for years about Dr. Appleton's robotic laser. You know, his laser, it is completely painless. You don't even feel it when you're being treated. There's no surgery, no downtime, no pills, no medication, it's just the robotic laser. And what the robotic laser does is, and Dr. Appleton performs all the laser treatments himself, it repairs the damage in your body that's causing you the pain. It's a miracle. That's why when he's treated me the 7 times he's rid me of pain, the pain hasn't returned, because he's repaired the damage that is causing the pain. And some of the injuries I've had, pretty bad. That 30 years of suffering from my knee pain, I never thought that would go away. That was the first pain he relieved me of. That was over 3 years ago. It hasn't returned. And the laser treatment works on every pain I've heard of. This is a very, very incomplete list, but some of the more common pains. Arthritis. I had arthritis in my finger, the one I use for the dump button when people use the profanities on the radio. I hit the dump button. I've been doing this so many years, I developed arthritis in my dump button finger. And I remember when I went to see Dr. Appleton, I was in so much pain, I was almost in tears. And I didn't know what was wrong. I thought I jammed my finger doing something. And he examined me. He says, Brian, you have arthritis. And I told Doc, I said, I'm done. That's it. My life's done. In my right hand, I've got arthritis in my finger. He says, no, the robotic laser treats that. He treated me. It's gone. And it hasn't come back. It's been over a year, maybe 2 years since he rid me of my arthritis pain. Gone. And I remember when I was a kid, my grandparents, one of my grandmothers had arthritis in her fingers. It was miserable. They get the big knuckles. I thought I was done. I was thinking about my grandmother, how her hands were basically useless. Arthritis pain gone, and it has not returned. Bronchial neuralgia, bursitis, hip pain, knee pain, lumbar pain, muscular contraction, sciatica, strains and sprains, tinnitus, tennis elbow, neck pain, stenosis. That very incomplete list there. Call Dr. Appleton and say bye-bye to your pain. And we have had listeners travel from all over the United States to see Dr. Appleton. 954-973-0710. 954-973-0710. And online, AppletonCairo.com. All right. We're back. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show. That's my habit from the morning. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. I say it so much. It's the Brian Craig Show podcast. I'm Brian Craig. That's what happens, guys. That's what happens. Hold on, let me pull. I wanted to play. Oh yes, Don Lemon. I don't know. Don Lemon, when he got fired from CNN. Do you know they paid him $10 million? He got a $10 million severance. $10 million. What would you do if you were given a check for $10 million? What would you do? Well, he's humiliated, Don Lemon. So he's trying to be relevant. And he does these things. Listen to this. This is, if somebody gave me a check for $10 million, I'd still do what I'm doing, but I wouldn't go out and make a fool out of myself. I might not do like 4 live streams a day. I might just do 1 a day. If somebody gave me a check for $10 million, I wouldn't do a stream at like 4 in the morning like I do sometimes. I wouldn't maybe start at 5 a.m. I might start a little later. I wouldn't be here every afternoon. And I'd take a weekend off from time to time if somebody gave me the $10 million. But I'd still be doing this. Just not as much. But Don Lemon, all he's trying to do is be relevant, and he is a pathetic narcissist. Everything he does, I'm going to play you what he said, but what he's really saying, I'll translate his hate. He's really saying, "Look at me, look 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 at me." It's really sad. Listen.
Black people, brown people of all stripes, whether you're an Indian American or a Mexican American or whoever you are, go out in your place where you live and get a gun legally, get a license to carry legally.
What the heck kind of thing is that? I mean, he doesn't want white people to get the gun. What is he talking about? This is what I was talking about earlier when I was talking about responsible broadcasters and irresponsible broadcasters. Don Lemon is what I would call an irresponsible broadcaster. I mean, what he's going through is, there's other people like Megyn Kelly. Megyn Kelly, who I don't always agree with, and there's something going on with her and Tucker. I don't mean romantically. I mean politically in their positions. There's just, I don't know, something's a little off to me with her. But Megyn Kelly has more influence today than when she was doing the primetime show on Fox. Because when she was on Fox, she may have more people listening to her every week now, really, because she's so big. But even if she doesn't, people are actually listening to what it is she has to say now. When she was on Fox, people were watching, but they weren't really listening to her or doing what she said, or their opinions weren't changing because of what she said. She's influencing people now. And there's a lot of people that were on cable news that are more influential now than when they had the network behind them or cable news. Don Lemon is not one of them, and he just can't handle it. And what you're going to find with Don Lemon is it's a sad downfall, because what's going on with him is he's as time goes on, he's going to get more and more outrageous. And if he could get over his hysterics and get his act together, and told the truth, like that $10 million they gave him, I promise you, he takes all the Trump tax cuts from the big, beautiful bill, right? Yeah, he has more money than most anybody watching me ever will, right? You know he takes all those Trump tax cuts. And if he came out and told the truth about that, and the Trump and said some good things about Trump, because Trump's doing some good things, then he would be relevant. But now he's just saying crazy things to get attention. Now, here is, we were talking about Chicago, so I pulled this up. This is Jen Psaki. Remember, she used to work for Obama, then she worked for Biden. Now she's on MSNBC, and she's talking to the Governor Pritzker of Illinois.
You said on Sunday that you were looking at prosecuting ICE agents who violate the law. What can you tell us about that? What would that look like?
Well, we don't know yet, because let's start with the fact that the federal agents typically have federal immunity, but they're not immune from the federal government holding them accountable and responsible. And so typically there are inspectors general, there are senior officials.
Okay, listen to all this gobbledygook. Okay, so this is insanity. What you have here with him is open insurrection against the federal government, right? He's talking about arresting ICE officers, finding ways to charge federal agents with crimes, the crime of doing their job. If that's not interfering with government business, I don't know what is. One of the things that Trump has done that's amazing is this crackdown on the illegal truck drivers. When I was young, you would see truck driving schools advertised all over the place. When's the last time you've seen a truck driving school advertise? I used to sometimes see the truck driving school semis going down the road with the student drivers. I haven't seen a truck driving school ad anywhere in years and years and years. And I didn't realize why, but now I know. It's because the illegals have been taking over that industry. And they've been getting driver's licenses in California. Remember when they were working so hard to give illegals driver's licenses, and Republicans are trying to stop it, and they did it in these Democrat states? And now Americans, there's stories all the time, are dead because of it. That guy that called earlier about the due process of the cartel members and their drug boats. What about the due process of these Americans who were just driving down the highway, and some unqualified illegals driving an 18-wheeler he's not qualified for, doesn't even speak or read English, but Gavin Newsom gave him a license, a commercial driver's license that they're not qualified to have. Where's the due process of these Americans that are killed? Listen to this.
A deadly crash that left one person dead, another arrested. Police say a semi-driver, Branko Stankovic here, swerved into oncoming traffic, hitting a Subaru head-on. The 54-year-old driver was pronounced dead at the scene. Investigators say Stankovic did not have a valid commercial driver's license and was using a suspended license belonging to a family member. He is now charged with reckless homicide, among other charges. He's being held on an ICE detainer due to his immigration status.
Okay, see, here's another death because of Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, and Barack Obama. You got another, how many people think about this. Between the drug overdose deaths, the traffic accidents, the rapes and murders and other crimes, how many Americans have died since 2008 when Obama was elected the first time at the hands of an illegal? How many? How many 9/11s have we had since 2008 because of their policies? And then they go out and defend them. And, the thing about the truck driving jobs, there's one of our callers that's a regular caller, is a truck driver, and he's telling me wages are starting to go up for truck drivers because there's a shortage of qualified drivers. And what they're doing, ICE, is, you know, those semi-trucks have to stop at those weigh stations off the side of the highway, and they're checking them then. And they're taking them out. And you're going to find that young guys are going to start going into truck driving. I would not be surprised if you start seeing ads again for truck driving schools. It wouldn't surprise me at all. Now, if you're new to my program, my name's Brian. This is where MAGA comes to talk. Make sure that you subscribe. And if you'd like to support my content, become a Patreon supporter. There's a link in the description of this episode, of course, to my Patreon page, or you can go directly there, patreon.com/RealBrianCraigShow, and you get access to exclusive things that are not posted anywhere else, including commercial-free editions of my podcast. But there's a new feature on Patreon. Those of you that are Patreon supporters, I was testing this out today, and there's a brand new feature that I'm going to be using quite a bit. And this will be available exclusively to Patreon supporters. There's a live stream capability now on Patreon. And I did 2 live streams today, one really, really early this morning, then one around noontime. So it's a live stream like, you know, when I do live streams in my car and things like that on YouTube, it's that kind of live stream. And I can just pull it up on my phone and do live streams. So I'm going to be doing more and more live streams just for Patreon supporters on Patreon. So that's going to be an added benefit to all of you. And there's a chat room and everything just like on YouTube, so we can communicate. And if you watch my videos on YouTube, I reveal a lot of things that you'll never hear me talk about on the program here. You get more of a behind the scenes of what goes on. So if you're not a Patreon now, become one so you can take part in that. You also, if you become a top Patreon supporter, you get a live on-air thank you shout-out on the program and get your name up on the screen here on YouTube. The names you'll hear now are my top Patreon supporters. I want to thank SF Jr., Christine, ETW, Chuck, Pamela, Nick, Wesley, Doris, Heather, David, Maria in Texas, Alice, Lizep, Shauna, George, Brandon, John, Frank, Dale, Tina, David, Laura, Rob, Wes, Sue, Janice, Teresa, Irene, and Doris. Doris, our newest top Patreon supporter. Thank you all. And again, you can go to patreon.com/Real Brian Craig Show. Patreon.com/Real Brian Craig Show. And there's also a link in the description of the video. And become a Patreon supporter. Let me pull this up here, this audio. This is the best. Hold on. Oh, here, I didn't play this. I'm going to play this one, but I got one more I want to play after this. This is President Trump talking about the submarine that they blew up.
That was in a submarine, right? We attacked a submarine, and that was a drug-carrying submarine built specifically for the transportation of massive amounts of drugs. Just so you understand, this was not an innocent group of people. I don't know too many people that have submarines. And that was an attack on a drug-carrying, loaded-up submarine.
Oh, man. I hope we get some video of that. Has anybody seen any video of the submarine that we blew up? If you have, let me know, because I'd like to see that. But the other clip I wanted to play, hold on, where's the other one? Yeah, oh, yes. This is the one I want to end on. This is the best. This is the best. I love this.
Maduro offered everything in his country, all the natural resources. He even recorded a message to you in English recently, offering mediation. What should we do in order to stop that?
He has offered everything. He's offered everything. You're right. You know why? Because he doesn't want to fuck around with the United States. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Oh, my goodness. It's not just that President Trump said it. It's that he just ended it, because he's thinking in his head, oh, this is the mic drop. It's not going to get, we're just going to end it here. This is a great point to end. That was beautiful. That one doesn't get old. If you're new, make sure you subscribe. My name's Brian Craig. This is where MAGA comes to talk. Thanks for tuning in. I'll talk to you next time. Take care.